Hi guys, it's Becky Chernek, Ev and I on the edge, and it's Thursday night at 9 p.m. And sorry I don't have my t-shirt on. I took my daughter out to dinner tonight, so here I am. But anyway, I think what I have is some really interesting stuff to talk about or talk to you about. And for those guys that are in the Ev and I trenches, I want to talk about whether or not you should be using word tracks or not to close customers. Now, here's the thing. I was invited on Anthony. Hey, Adam, good to see you tonight. Yay, you're on. I love it. So I want to hear some input. And Anthony Santangelo is here tonight. Thank you so much. I know, Anthony, you're feeling awful. Anthony's got the flu, guys. So we're hoping that he feels better or he has a cold or something. So take a lot of vitamin E. Anthony. So I was on Anthony's show this week or Sunday or sometime this week. Anyway, so Anthony and I had a great show. It was awesome. Tuesday night. So gosh, I tell you, this week has just gone by so quickly. And we were talking about stuff that happens in sales and F&I. And basically the conversation came up, or a comment was that we shouldn't be using these word tracks, if you will, sales scripting, and how that word track sales scripting just doesn't work. It's that it's a false response, I guess, and that you're not really relating to customers. And that's, I put the quote in the post, and I started thinking about it when I got the response, and I thought, I'm just going to ignore it, but I thought, you know what, I don't want to ignore it because I think it is important to talk about. Hey, William, glad you could make it. How are you doing tonight? So we're talking about whether or not F&A people actually should be utilizing these word tracks responses to a customer's objection. And, for years, I've been training F&I, and gosh, I've been in the automotive industry all my life and in F&I forever. And even when I was sent to school years back, I came back with some really awesome, what I thought still works, some of these word tracks that I utilized to overcome a customer's objection. And it's not so much a knee-jerk reaction so much that I do have an appropriate response that I use to overcome that customer's objection. And so I have to ask you, and before I do that, the other day I also had a fantastic webinar on how to sell more service contracts. And I don't know about you guys, but that's the feedback. What I want to get from you tonight is, do you train on word tracks, or do you say, you know what, don't use those word tracks, forget about that. That's not a way to go ahead and talk about your products or how to address or overcome an objection. Just come up with something. Just wing it. So I want to know, is that what you guys train? Because I sure as hell don't train that. That to me is about as crazy as it gets. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have some sort of, response that you would get, especially when you have or hear the same objection time and time again. So I want to hear your comments on this and hear what you have to say. So I have to put my glasses on to read some of those comments. Not necessarily can I hear what you have to say, but I can certainly read them. Anthony Santangelo is the man. Are you going to be at NADA? Hi, Becky. Feel better, Anthony? Yeah, I think he still has that cold. On occasion, yes, word tracks are necessary. It needs to be personable, though. Okay, so I get it, and you have to internalize it. But does that mean that we're not practicing our presentations? Does that mean that you kind of wing it, like it's okay to just go ahead and let's present one product or maybe another, rather than, let's say, present a menu? So to me, when we utilize menu selling and we're consistent with that, what is that? Is that not a track? Is that something that, hey, we might use a menu once in a while, or, just when we think that, menu might work? I think that we've used menu time to time or all the time, is because we're not going to prejudge that customer, that we want to make it a point to make sure that we're consistent with our presentation. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. I don't want to necessarily be the one answering my own questions, right? I want to hear it from you, but I think you definitely need to be you. You definitely need to be personable. Hey, Mike, I'm glad you could make it tonight, Michael. I'm glad you can make it. But I'm talking about, does it make sense to use a word track or several word tracks to answer a specific objection that you get from a customer? So for an example, when a customer tells you, the reason why they're not purchasing a service contract is because, they don't think that it fits in their budget. Now, granted, there are several different ways to maybe answer that question, but I would have to ask a veteran F&I person when you address or overcome that objection, is that maybe a close that you've used many times to address that concern, or do you decide that you're going to say something different? So I kind of feel like if you're winging it, if you're like shooting from the hip, I don't think that you can be as effective. I really don't. I feel like I have responses that I've internalized over the years. I know these responses inside and out, and I use them. And I use these visuals to help me to address and overcome the specific objection that I get time and time and time again. So I want to hear what you have to say. Anthony says, thanks, Adam. Becky will be at NADA, but I won't be, as I will be booked with training campaigns. You are the man, Anthony. And I'm going to be out, actually, for the next 2 weeks. And then I'm traveling to NADA. So it's going to be a heck of a month for me, too. So I'm going to do my best to try and come on here on next Thursday when I'm in the hotel. We all know how much I love to do that. But again, this thing on word tracks really, hit home for me, because over the years, that's what I do train. I'm not training you to be robotic. I don't believe in being robotic. I do believe that you have to have a game plan. You got to know where you're going. I mean, for example, when you have football players, they don't go out on the field unless they have a play. They have a play, and they rehearse that play. They practice that play. They practice, drill, and rehearse. They don't go out in that field without practicing and without a play. And I can't imagine, going into in that F&I office without a play, without, a playbook, knowing where you're going, and I don't think winging it, you're going to be as successful. I just don't. I think you have to have certain responses that you generally feel comfortable and confident to utilize to overcome an objection. Just kind of winging it, shooting from the hip, I don't see how that gets it done. And I really am very passionate when it comes to this. I really want to hear, again, what you guys have to say on this word track thing. Because, this one response wasn't the first. And I've heard it several times that, we shouldn't be using word tracks when we're training. These guys have to, be personable and hug a tree and all that other stuff. And, there's nothing worse than having that deer in the headlight look and lack of confidence when you're addressing or overcoming an objection. I'm not saying that you're robotic. I am saying that you're personable and that you are addressing that customer's concern. I am. But I don't think that you should be winging it, or just kind of figuring it out as you go. I think that what causes the lack of performance. And I do believe that we have to have these visuals too. So as we're talking through some of the reasons why the customer should be taking advantage of one product or another, we need to make sure that the customer understands, where we're coming from. And so in visuals really make for a huge impact. So Tommy, let me see what you had to say. I think word tracks are our most valuable tools. like a mechanic cannot fix a vehicle without his tools. We cannot be successful in selling our products without being prepared with our tools. Tommy, you and I absolutely agree. And it's like, here you are, you have a brand new F&I person, and your guys are trying to tell me that we're not going to train these guys on a game plan, on, how to properly address or overcome an objection. And that we need to, and I understand we do need to be more personable with customers. I get that. But they have to have some place to get that information or to be able to address that concern. I mean, where is it coming from? Every single time before, I go out to do any sort of presentation, PowerPoint presentation, that sort of thing, guys, I'm always, practicing before I go on. I am never going on cold. I don't like to go on cold. Facebook actually is tough for me because I am going on somewhat cold, and it's not practiced so much. But, at the end of the day, I have been training on word tracks for a very long time. And I just see that, I just got to tell you, I think it's major important to send an F&I person into an F&I school and not ask them to do role play or to put them in F&I, and they're not trained up to be able to properly handle a customer's objection, to me, is absolutely foolish. We talk about the interview process, finding out more information about the customer. What do you suppose I'm using don't get me wrong, but that information helps me really to overcome the objection when it comes up. So, Ashley, great to see you. Steps, not tracks. So I'm not exactly sure where you're going with steps, not tracks. So, what do you mean by that? Off the word track topic for a second. Is it better to use a mobile tablet menu or to do a presentation at a salesperson's office, or desk type menu in the back office? Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm okay with the mobile application out front. Look at Echo Park. Echo Park utilizes CarMax are utilizing more mobile application, and this is earlier before the customer ever makes their way into the F&I office. DocuPad's a great system. I love it too. Is it better for some customers to keep them there at the salesperson's desk? Yeah, I think so. If they're more comfortable there, why not? And then be able to utilize a mobile presentation such as digital, Darwin Digital, or any one of those other digital menus. Yeah, why not? In fact, a lot of dealers, they're utilizing not necessarily a 4 option menu, but rather they're going to options today. And again, the customer can only take in so much information. So they said, so it helps to go ahead and speed up that presentation. So yeah, I think again, that whole digital presentation is great. It engages the customer. It internalizes. It's more interactive with the customer as well than maybe some of these paper menus. So yeah, if a customer is comfortable at the salesperson's desk, I'd like to meet him there. In fact, back when, be it for me to mention this again, but back in the day when we were in AutoNation mega stores, Robert, you might remember, I don't know, but when we implemented menu selling in the AutoNation stores and the mega stores, they didn't have an F&I office. They really didn't. They just more or less had a place to print documents, and we met the customer out at the kiosk in the middle of the showroom and to do this presentation. And so that's why they didn't want step selling or packing peanuts or anything like that. They didn't want the customer to spend all day in a dealership buying a car. They wanted to shorten that process, make it a lot more user-friendly. So we met the customer, out at the kiosk, and frankly, it was just a much better experience for the customer. Go figure. So if the customers were comfortable, the salesperson's desk, leave them the frick alone. Let them be there. It's all good. I think that's fine. Yes. So, in the dealership, in the F&I person's office, yeah, the DocuPad's a great system as well. But Mobility is nice. I mean, when you can calculate on the fly, you can go anywhere with the mobility application. So that kind of makes it nice, and it relates to who the customer is today. So hopefully I kind of answer that. Yes, I am old enough, used a massive paper menu. Well, I'm sure some were, big, some were a lot smaller, but yeah, I mean, we used the traditional 4-column menu back in 1997. I'm sure you did the same thing. I'm sure a lot of people did the same thing. However, for me anyway, 1997, I'm not talking about you, Robert. I'm sure you've been around for a long, long time. But I know for me in 1997, that was like really new for me because I was used to a different type of F&I presentation, if you will. So when I, got into the AutoNation mega stores, when we first implemented that menu selling system in the AutoNation stores, that was new for me. May not have been new for you, but it certainly was new for me back in 1997. And I can tell you with the F&I people that I was training, some of the veterans in the mega stores and then in the new car stores, they never really heard of it before. So, but I know that there was a few of you guys that you were already doing some of that menu selling even before 1997. So awesome stuff. And then we have Ashley, know your product, know your process, develop effective points that should and must be used. Track to me means canned, and to me, by people depend on the can, not the customer. It all begins with qualifying. Now, I hear what you're saying as far as qualifying the customer and knowing your products inside and out, but again, and I respect you. You know that, Ashley. I know you've been around a long time too. You're like Robert, which again, I know you guys are veterans in the industry, and I absolutely respect that. So I don't want you to think that I don't at all. But I've also been in the industry a long time too. And I've always used effective closes. And frankly, they work for me. Now, I didn't sound like I was canned, nor did I sound like I was robotic. In fact, frankly, I learned the play. I learned, the benefit of utilizing some of these closes that I use time and time and time again. In fact, many of my presentations were the same. The reason why menu selling, whether you use a digital menu or whether we're using a paper menu, the whole idea behind it is that you're presenting 100% of your products 100% of the time to every single customer all the time. We're not prejudging. By the way, guys, if you would do me a favor, hopefully you'll go ahead and like this. Hopefully this is worthwhile for you. And if you wouldn't mind, could you share this out to everyone, to your connections as well? I really appreciate that. But you know what? I do. I'm not canned, I feel very confident in my skin. If in fact I have a customer, and let's go here for just a second. We have customers who, as you well know, when they object to a service contract, why are they objecting to the service contract? I hope I'm not making this into much of a training session here. I'm not looking to do that so much, but the point that I'm trying to hit home here is if we've heard a reason behind not taking advantage of a service contract, if I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times. It doesn't matter what state I'm in. It doesn't matter what country I'm in. I hear the same objection why a customer is not buying a service contract from me. And I guarantee you have probably heard the same objection as well. I'm not buying a service contract because why? Because I have the manufacturer's warranty. I'm not buying a service contract is because, hey, it can't fit into my budget. I bought one before. It never covered anything. And let's see, I bought one and, I never had to use it. So we hear the same objections time and time again. So doesn't it stand to reason to have some sort of a track that we rely on that, we're not having to, come up with a response that, that isn't well thought out. I think it's more important to, come up with a response that's a little bit more thought out, that you understand the reasons for the objection, but here's some ideas that the customer may want to consider. And I tell you, I don't know, but I just feel that I'm so much better than, utilizing some of the tracks that I use time and time again that are effective to help me to overcome the customer's objection. I just do. I just don't like to wing it. I don't think it's a good idea to train. Maybe you, the guys that are veterans, maybe you can wing it. Maybe you're good at winging stuff. Maybe you are, and that's awesome. But you try doing that with a new guy or a new gal in the F&I office that has no previous training on, or no way of, they've never really dealt with overcoming an objection from a customer before, and you're not giving them anything to fall back on. So where is their roadmap? Where's their GPS at? So you're saying, well, just kind of figure it out, kind of talk to the customer. Doesn't it sound, reasonable to think this or that or the other? That might work, but I don't think it's as effective. That's kind of like where I'm coming from. So it's awesome that I am getting your feedback, and I really want to thank you for that. Yeah, like Robert said, had it on my last car and I never used it. So I bet you and I probably come up with pretty much close to the same thing. We probably talk about the fact that, I can appreciate that. But, earlier on you told me that you have health insurance, or you have full coverage on your vehicle, and you don't really need to have full coverage on your vehicle since there's no lien on that vehicle. But I imagine that you do because, hey, you appreciate peace of mind. So this is why many of my customers certainly do see the advantage of taking the service contract. So it's better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. It's peace of mind. That's something that I'm coming up, it's a quick one, track, but, it hits home. I mean, so these are things that, over the years, we've learned how to respond to that customer's concern as it pertains to the reasons why they didn't take advantage of one service contract or another, rather than going into that rabbit's hole. What else did you have to say, Robert? I am financing this car for 84 months, and you are offering me a 36-month, 36,000 coverage. Does my payment lower when my service contract runs out? Well, I'm assuming you're talking about a pre-owned vehicle, and that the F&I person is offering the customer a 36-month, 36,000 mile coverage. I don't know. Or are you talking about, I'm assuming that's where you're going with that, Robert. I don't know why the F&I person would offer just a 3-year 36 on a pre-owned vehicle if they're on an 84-month finance note, or it could be maybe, I don't know, maybe this is an RV, maybe that sort of thing. I don't know. But again, I'd be more than happy to go ahead and overcome objections during a training class. But here again, the thing is having somewhere to go. You have a GPS to be able to formulate a thought that makes sense based on the objection that you're getting. And winging it doesn't work. You're just not, to me, you're not going to be as effective. You just aren't. You're going to have that deer in the headlight look, and you won't know what the frick to talk about. And that's when you lose confidence, you lose sales. And so the more that you're ready to be able to properly address and overcome the objection based on reason, again, I'm not saying that you're robotic. I'm not saying that you're jumping in and you have just to use a track. You're still talking as if it's a conversation that you're having, but you're utilizing this track to be able to reason with the customer so they can see your point of view. So, hey, Michelle, I'm glad you're able to make it tonight. I'd love to get your viewpoint on this whole thing. So, Tommy, the customer can sense when you are winging it and when your opportunity to sell them the product and credibility is shot, you're shot. I totally agree with that, Tommy. If they sense you're confident and you sound like you know what you're talking about, amen, you have much a better chance. Tommy, you hit the nail on the head with that. Absolutely. I mean, the worst thing that you can do is put a new F&I person in there. They have the deer in the headlight look. They have nowhere to go. They have no idea what they're talking about, and they lose their credibility with the customer. You're absolutely, I happen to agree. I'm sorry. I'm like, wait, why wouldn't you make it a point that you have your playbook in hand before you go and do your presentation? Why would we do that? I don't know. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you. John Fairchild says, as long as there's true rapport, then word tracks are just tools to keep you engaged and moving forward. Amen. So yeah, you definitely, I'm not saying that, we're not engaged. I'm not saying that we don't know something about the customer. I am talking about you better be out there. You better interview the customer or meet and greet, whatever you want to call it. You better get to know the customer, understand, what they're all about. Yeah, definitely, John. And then, again, you're going to get likely the same objection. So rather than, again, not knowing where you're going, not having a game plan in place, you're going to lose credibility. Here's what happens, because I'm in those stores. I don't know where you guys are. I really don't. Because here's what I say from the inexperienced F&I person. They're in there, and what are they doing to sell their product? It's not based on value. They're not selling value because they don't have the skill set to sell value. Instead, what do you think that they're doing? Their first thing is to what? Cut profit. That's what's happening. That's the reality. So instead of me selling value of my program, hell, screw that. I'm going to go ahead and just cut the profit out of the deal. That's reality. That's what's really happening in these stores. It's not about value selling. Now, some of the guys who have been around, who have that confidence, they hold on to that value, but it's value selling. And they're able to address and overcome the objection based on value, based on reasoning with the customer, not losing their confidence. And that's the name of the game. That is so the name of the game. Hey, Mark, good to see you. I'm on a roll tonight, guys. Hey, Michelle, just curious as to what your thoughts are. Okay, I've seen in the car business for 20 years, says Jason, from sales to sales manager, brand new to F&I though. Where's a great place to get these word tracks to practice? Thank you, Jason. See? I'm telling you, here's what happens. When they come to my workshop, when we have F&A people come to my workshop, I have a 3-day workshop, okay? And it's fabulous, fantastic workshop. You know what they love? They freaking love the word tracks. They're like, Becky, everything else was great, don't get me wrong, but I really, really love the word tracks and being able to role play through the word tracks. Can you believe it? Time and time and time again. So you tell me, Jason, here's the thing. I have a hell of a nice, I hate to say hell, but I have a great, high level F&I online platform. And I incorporate a ton of content, or good content. I'm still adding content, I'll be honest. I'm still adding content. But this is a great F&I online platform. It is very interactive. It is the best online platform out there. There really is. It is through Lightspeed VT. It is interactive. I'm telling you, it's awesome. And it includes menu presentation, overcoming objections, that sort of thing. I also have free content. Certainly go on F&I Today Show on CBT and check out the F&I Today Show. I'm the host of the F&I Today Show. So, and then you might want to check out Rebecca Chernek and sign up and subscribe to Rebecca Chernek on YouTube. And I have some content there as well. But again, I have a great learning platform for this. And, especially from someone new going into F&I, it's perfect. It really is perfect. So check it out. You can go to, and I'll make sure to post it here afterwards, but it's ChernekConsultingVirtualPro.com. So ChernekConsultingVirtualPro.com. And I'm telling you, it's a 2-day free trial in there. But if you contact me at Becky@ChernekConsulting.com, and I'll put that in there as well, I'll be more than happy to open it up to you a little bit longer so you can check it out, and maybe I can give you a better price too while we're at it. What the hell? But yeah, I want to see you trained up, because I'm telling you, these tracks will make you or break you. It's a GPS to success. You got to know what the frick you're talking about, because otherwise you're going to lose it and you're going to lose credibility. Mike Thompson, what are some off-the-wall closes to use when the customer says they see value in the product but says they can't afford the payment? I use, it's better to budget for the known than the unknown close, and you're preparing for your car repairs. You know what, Mike? You're so freaking right. Simple is better than nothing. And you know what? That's all I'm talking about. I'm talking about being personable in your skin. I know customers, they get that. They see the value. They see the reason. Let's put it this way. The reason behind taking advantage of a service contract. What they're telling you is, I don't feel like I can afford it. You're right. I don't think I can budget this. So we are trying to show the customer, you know what? I'm hearing you. I'm not saying that I don't hear you. I get it. You know, budget is a tough, yeah, we all have a budget. But the last thing you want to do, especially with a customer who's on a budget, is have to pay thousands of dollars out of your pocket when you least expect it. Isn't that right? That's what we're talking about. I mean, you got a payment of $467 a month. You got to repair. Now, here's one thing I don't do. I never do. I don't go around saying, well, what happens if the car falls apart, the engine transmission just falls out of the car? And let me tell you, you want to know why we have all these service bays in the back? Is because all these cars, all they do are break down all the time. I don't do that. But what I do is explain that, you know, stuff happens all the time. You know, we don't expect it to. It shouldn't, but it does. It happens. And so let's say 3 years down the road, when you're not under manufacturer's warranty, or you're 15, you got 20,000 miles per year that you're putting on a vehicle. You know, after 3 or 4 years, you don't have the manufacturer's warranty. You have a part that necessarily goes bad, that you're back in the shop. I don't know, maybe the AC goes out. Who knows? But it's going to cost you anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 for sure to replace the darn thing. And think about all those computers or technology in that vehicle. I mean, these vehicles are much more complex than they've ever been before. So it's going to cost you anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 that month. So let's just say it's $1,200. So it's $467 you got to pay for a payment plus the $1,200. You do the math. So it's $1,600 in that month. And here's a customer, here are you, who's on a tight budget versus. And one thing I'd like to point out too, just like you, Mike, that's a variable payment versus taking advantage, you know, of our service contract. Sure, you have to adapt to the payment of $30 or $40 difference. But you know what? That's something you can do over time. But what you will never be able to or have a hard time with are these surprises that pop up during your ownership. This is why many of my customers often do take advantage of my service contract. You have to admit it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. You know, again, it is a part of who you are. It's part of your vernacular. You have a better understanding as to why they need to take advantage of that service contract. I sure do. We isolated the objection. We overcome the objection based on the objection that we get. If if you're trying to wing it and you're not listening. See, the thing is, we're listening more. I want to know why you're objecting to my service contract. Shoot, you told me you're going to plan on holding on to this car until the wheels fall off. And I got to say, many of my customers often do take advantage of the service contract. Can I ask you why did you choose not to? Listen to what the customer says. Isolate the objection. Overcome the objection based on the objection you get. Instead, that's not what happens. That is not what happens. Instead, if I could reduce the price of this service contract, would you buy it from me? Hell, if I could just give it away, would you buy it from me? This is why we cut profit out of the service contract to sell it. Now, I'm not saying that eventually you don't do that, but you don't have to do that. You know, that's at the first go round. We overcome the objection based on the objection. We sell value. But that's a good one, Mike. Michelle, I think tracks are as effective as the person who is delivering them. If it sounds rehearsed, it doesn't work. If it's delivered with inflection and confidence, yeah, it does work wonders. And here's the thing. Would you ever go out in front and do a presentation without practice, drill, rehearse? Would you? In front of all these people? I sure wouldn't. I would want to make sure that I practice drill. I internalize this presentation until the cows come home. I own my presentation. I know my stuff. You know, it's too important not to. But yet we have people out here who are saying, oh, don't do that. That's not good. Reason with the customer. Well, they don't know what they're talking about to reason with the customer. There's no anything that they can rely on. Where's their GPS? Where's their, what do they fall back on? Where are the tools? Where's the skill set? Where is that anymore? It's why you train your salesperson on the job of F&I. Absolutely, Mike. I'll tell you, you're going to be freaking awesome. When you get from sales into F&I, I'm telling you right now, you're going to have this. You're going to own this, because understand, I'm not asking you to be impersonable. I'm not asking anyone not to be robotic in any which way. I just want to make sure you know what you're doing. I want you ask questions that you know, the most part, what the response is going to be, so that way you can effectively overcome that customer's concern with something that makes sense, for crap's sake. And the more you do that, and the more confident you are in your skin, the more service contracts, the more products you're just going to sell, period. But you've got to know your stuff. You've got to know your visuals. Mike Thompson, I have the deer in the headlight look every now and then, and I have been an F&I for less than a year. Yeah, I know. Look, I get it. It's like, did you just say that? Oh, what the heck do I say now? And all I'm saying is, it's kind of nice to be able to have some of these tracks to fall back on, right? So, yeah, let me try this on a little bit. Let me see if this visual doesn't work, or this idea, that I have with this customer doesn't work. One of the things that I've always done is I have at least 3 or 4 that I just bank on. I know this like there's no tomorrow. I own it. I am on my way to work, and I own this stuff. I listen to what other F&I people say, and I'm like, you know what? That sounds pretty damn good. In fact, the next time you read my book, I think I'm going to add, you're going to see that close or that track in my book. Because, hey, and you know what? I'm not saying that you have to have it down verbatim, although I think you should, but that's beside the point. But, the thing is that these ideas help you to share, that idea with the customer, to obviously share the reason behind taking advantage of a certain product with your customer. So, it just stands to reason. It just stands to reason that, this particular product, based off of what you told me, would certainly benefit you. But you have to isolate the reason behind. Why aren't they taking advantage of a service contract? If a customer is holding onto their vehicle until the wheels fall off, right? And if they're driving 15 to 20,000 miles per year, you tell me. Tell them, ask them. Quit guessing. We guess way too much. Stop it. We want to find out why. Why did you choose not to take advantage of my service contract? What is it? Isolate it. Then, from there, use some of these word tracks to share with the customer, to give them reason as to why the service contract would benefit them. That's what I'm saying. I posted above. Did I read that for you? Oh, okay. Did I miss it? No, I don't think I did. No, I didn't. You are on the edge tonight. Anthony, thank you so much. I am very passionate about this whole thing. That's why I have my webinars. I'm doing webinars, free webinars, by the way, Mike as well. And I think it was, let me see, Jason, I also have a free webinar I do once a month. I might do it twice a month. And the next one's going to be in February. It's all about increasing service contract sales. So please make it a point to check out for it, because I think you'll like it a lot. And it'll likely be the beginning in February when I'm not traveling and on the road. So Michael says, very true. They do discount. If I don't sell the service contract on the first introduction in Roadster, then I won't get full retail on it. It is. Here again, you don't know. You guys don't see what I see. I don't know. Or, I see what's happening. I go into the stores. I know that they cut the profit immediately. That's the first thing they or perhaps the first, maybe the second thing. But that profit is dropped $1,000, $500, at first glance. And it's like, let's just go ahead and give the customer, if we can, let's go ahead and extend the term to 6 months. Well, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to extend out the term if I don't have to. And I sure as hell don't want to cut the profit if I don't have to. But what I will do first is I want to overcome the objection based on value, based on reason. And, again, I definitely stick with, some of the thought out tracks that keep me on track, for crying out loud. So I'm not going into some sort of rabbit hole and can't find my freaking way out. And some of this stuff is good. I tell you, just the other day, I had an F&I manager and I'm like, you know what? I like that. And I used, well, not just the other day, but a while ago. And I'm like, okay, I like it. It makes sense to me. And it's now a part of what I say. But you can maintain an engine. And John, you know that. You can maintain an engine. He said my service drive. He said he's the best in the business, by the way. John Fairchild, service. He trains menu selling on service drive, and he knows his stuff. And he is darn good at what he does. I mean, just amazing at what he does. But you can maintain an engine. But what you can't maintain is that technology. That stuff's complex, guys. And this is why many of my customers often do take advantage of my service contract. So it's better to have it, not need it, not have it. Wouldn't you agree? And it's all about, let me tell you something too. I know, I'm on a roll tonight, Anthony. I really am. I really am passionate about this. But all of us in sales, whether you're selling cars or whether you're up at the desk as a sales manager, but in F&I, you better have that freaking light on. And what do I mean by light? You're a performer. So when that customer comes on, doesn't matter what kind of mood you're in, but when that customer shows up, you better have that light on. You are a performer. You've got to know your tracks. You've got to know what you're doing. And you've got to be prepared. Get prepared to be prepared. Get prepared to be prepared. Because you're a performer. That's what we do. And so you talk about these scripts. You know what? Everyone, Al Pacino, Scarface, for those, I don't know if you watched Scarface or not, it's a great freaking movie. It's awesome. A little rough, but it's freaking awesome. And I think that was his best movie ever. But he became Al Pacino. He became Al Pacino. Say hello to my little friend. Say hello to my I loved it. But he became it. Someone, he was given a script. And they say, do you want to play this? Well, he played it all right. And so we take some of these tracks and we internalize it. And we become it. We are performers. And the better the performer that you are, let's face it, the better that you are, the higher your performance. And that's what it is. That's what it's all about. John Fairchild, word tracks are a roadmap, and you own the special sauce. Amen, brother. That's exactly right, John. And I'm sure you probably share that, with your guys too, back in service. Michelle, consistency is key. I posted my longer version above. Okay. I think new F&I managers should have a road to the box training, just as sales have a road to sales training, but it doesn't exist. Well, I tell you right now, I believe both should be presenting their worksheet as if, again, the road to the sale, they need to do their steps to the sale, or again, that whole thing's changing with being online too. Where does that, road actually start? Online. But again, they have to have their steps to the sale in place, but they're consistent with their worksheet, their e-pencil, and they're able to deliver that, and they're more consistent. I can't take it anymore. I mean, I go into these stores and I'm like, well, if you're doing an e-pencil, why are you all over the place? Why aren't you using it? Don't tell me you use it and you don't use it. I mean, we're not consistent with that either. We can't even do that and be consistent with it. But if you're consistent with it and you're offering 54 or 60 months or 60 or 66 months and you're showing 15% money down and or lease terms, that sort of thing too with a customer, I'm telling you, you fare a bunch better, but that doesn't happen. Instead, we go out at, 72 months on extended terms with no money down. Happens too much. And ask a salesperson if they're confident in presenting that worksheet, and I'm telling you, they're not. And So F&I, you got to have the confidence. You have to have the training in your presentation and being able to have, a way to go when your customer overcomes or objects to your certain products. You have to be able to relate. You're close to the individual customer. Ask leading questions. Find out if they have issues with previous vehicles. It sells itself when they have. Well, yeah, you certainly want to find out more about the customer. That's true. Or maybe they might have or may have not had issues with their previous vehicle. But again, the more information that you know about your customer, the better. But you're isolating. You have to isolate the objection in order to overcome it. Does that kind of hit home here a little bit? You got to know the objection to overcome the objection. Because if you don't know the objection, what are you objecting to? What are you talking about? Are you just kind of like hanging out there and kind of talking through it and trying to figure what are you talking about? I mean, do you ask, why? It stands to reason if you're going to keep a vehicle for a very long time and you're putting 15 to 20,000 miles a year on the vehicle, most of your customers often do take advantage of a service contract. How come you chose not to? So I don't know. I mean, or I think I do. I mean, I'd want to be able to isolate the objection to overcome the objection and know where I'm going at all times. Tommy, it's better to need it and have it than need it and not have it. Love it. We'll be adding that to my toolbox. Thanks, Tommy. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Wouldn't you agree? And it is in your presentation, and it has to become you. You have to internalize it. But remember, we're performers here. And the more that you internalize this, the more you practice, drill, rehearse, the better that you become, the more that you sell. And that's just the way it goes. How do you handle a customer that has a draft check? Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm not going to do that right here, Michael, but I promise you in my next webinar, actually, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to open it up for questions the next time around because I feel like I didn't do that as much on a webinar, but I think it's important to do that. So I promise we'll get into how to do some of that. I didn't really want to get into so much of a training aspect here, but I am just really passionate about, utilizing these closes because I do think that we need a roadmap, that we need somewhere to go. And F&I people that are starting out and they don't have this, what do they rely on? What are they relying on? And then you want them to run 50, 60% service contract penetration? It ain't happening. It's not going to happen. Or you're expecting them to run, 1,200 service contract PVR? I don't know. That's not going to happen. You're likely at 500 in many of these cases because of it. I actually had an online platform where I could upsell them, charge them a small down payment, and allow them to make monthly payments over 12 months. It worked wonders for those situations. Too many dealers don't think outside the box. Yep, that's true too. Absolutely. Michelle, thank you. Handle customers that have draft check by offering protection with 0% financing programs. Absolutely. Good one, Robert. Absolutely. Again, some of these tools too, I definitely recommend a line 5. And SPP is great. Some dealers may or may not do okay with that. But here's the other thing. And I know John Fairchild, if you're still in here, talk about maybe that credit card, in-house credit card. And that's another great option to have in service and or for those customers as well. But line 5 is a good one too. And for those that really don't know much about the line 5, certainly feel free to go ahead and email me at becky@chernekconsulting.com. Be happy to answer those questions about line 5. But literally anyone can get approved under line 5. And there's not necessarily just the service contract. You can take it up to a 5-year time period. So the payments would be a lot easier for the customer to make. I think that there's a 5 to 10% money down payment requirement, but it's very minimal. And it's just another neat way to go to be able to sell that, to offer that customer that service contract, especially if you already have the exact amount in hand. So that might be a better alternative as well, but it's called Line 5. And it is, now it's going to be based on the customer's FICO score, if it's, what their interest rate would be with the Line 5. So if you have somebody who might have some slow pay, derogatory credit, especially for our subprime customers, this would really come in handy. And anyone can literally get approved. I believe you have to have a checking account and or a credit card, but it's a pretty neat program. So if anybody has any questions on that, feel free to let me know. I'm sure that there's a couple guys in here too that probably know more about that Line 5 program. Mike Thompson, biggest question of the evening. When is your next workshop? I like you, Monk. I'm telling you. Gosh, thank you guys. Well, I'm telling you, probably in March. In March. It's going to be in Atlanta. Mike, where are you from? Are you from Atlanta? Where are you from? So I'm going to have it here, and, I'll likely have it in Alpharetta again. I really like the location. So hopefully, please, if you will, Mike, stay in touch with me, and I'll make it a point to make sure that you know when that's going to be coming up. But that was a great workshop. So 3-day, I mean to tell you, awesome workshop. I had Joe St. John from AutoFi. He was a great speaker talking about digital retailing, where that whole thing is going, and he did a phenomenal presentation. I also had Jeff Stafford with Darwin Automotive. He did a hell of a job too, and I'm telling you, yeah, talking about digital menu, where is that going, how Darwin Digital really plays out. And I know Robert Moore had a question with regard to digital menu. Is it better on the floor or back in the office? It's where the customer is most comfortable. That's what I love about it. You can calculate right there on the fly. They have tools to be able to address and overcome customers' objections based on based on some of the information that we pull from the internet. But you can certainly support any of your claims via the tools that they offer with the Darwin Digital. So Edmunds.com, you name it, Kelly, Blue Book, that sort of thing. So it's really a cool tool because, again, everything that comes out of our mouth, we certainly should have, and let me say this, definitely make sure we have an evidence file. So that's really important to back up our claim, right? So highly recommend that as well. Anthony, you need to build value in service contracts by showing your customer that it provides a solution to their problem. Absolutely. And we do, and I do, and make it a point that the customer truly understands and sees the value of that service contract and why we do what we do. So I'm an avid believer that we have to have a roadmap to the sale. And I am an avid believer in that GPS and being able to really have, tracks, if you will, they are, to address and overcome the objection that I hear and that I have isolated, and I'm able to overcome the objection based on the objection that I get. But I'm going to ask you again, those that have been in F&I for any time, when a customer tells you they're not taking advantage of a service or they're not going to take advantage of the service contract, and you ask them why, what are the objections you're going to hear time and time and time again? You tell me. You tell me. Cost? I'm not buying the service contract because I can't afford another nickel. Right? So we hear that time and time and time again. I'm not buying it because I have somebody who works on my car. I'm not buying it because these cars never break down. I'm not buying it because I'm buying it. This is my 5th Toyota I bought, and I've never had a problem with it. I'm not buying this because when I bought it before, it never covered anything. I'm not buying it because I have the manufacturer's warranty. What do I need it for? So, other than a draft, okay, Draft, we have to hit different. I get that. Having other tools that are in our toolbox, definitely. The 5-liner, the in-house credit card, SPP programs, maybe even that different menu. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if you can, at this point, turn that deal around, but certainly this is another good reason why you have Roadster at the dealership, Michael, so that way, hopefully, we can convert more of that business to the dealership and keep it captive. But these are the same objections you hear all the time. When you want to have a plan, something somewhat planned, I mean, to kind of know that, well, I've heard this before, so here's what I have to say about that. Here's a reason why I believe that you should be taking advantage of my service contract. Just kind of thinking through that. Jason, and where do you host the workshops? Jason, that's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, actually Alpharetta, Georgia. We have a really nice spot. Last time was at the Doubletree in Alpharetta, Hilton Doubletree in Alpharetta, and it was really nice. It was very nice. So likely it will be there again. Michael is a good dude. Audience, please follow him as he is a rising star in the car business. He certainly is. I'm telling you, I really love this guy. I love Michael. I'm going to have Michael come on F&I on the Edge, and we're going to just talk about what's going on in the sales department. So I promised him that, so we're definitely going to make it happen. I just wanted to talk about this tonight about word tracks. I just thought it was a good show to talk about, or a good topic to talk about. Sorry guys, I had to jump off the call and get my daughters. Hey, Adam's back. Hey, Adam. Glad you're back. I am a service guy, but boy, this stuff is very similar to what happens on the service drive and dealing with the customers day in, day out. Yeah, right? Definitely is. And Adam says, agreed. Michelle, I think every dealer needs to have an online marketplace to sell service contracts, interest-free, especially for those secondary deals that the bank advance. You charge a down payment and offer them terms under 12 months to pay for it. They don't pay, you cancel it, but your F&I penetration will greatly increase. You know what? Michelle, you weren't at my webinar, unfortunately. And I tell you, we talked a lot about that and how to influence more sales in service contracts. And part of that is really having a better base in how to address and overcome objections. But also, we were talking about gold mining service contracts and utilizing some of these gold mining tools that will tell you whether or not the customer is coming out of their manufacturer's warranty, and if they haven't already taken advantage of a service contract, you can either email them or call them. And I highly recommend that. I mean, to tell you, if a dealer isn't gold mining every single day and, gold mining for those service contracts, they're missing the boat. They got to use those tools to be able to gold mine those service contracts every single day. I'm telling you right now, these big groups are missing out big time. And here's the thing. If you're not doing it, you know as well as I do, third-party providers are doing it. This is public information. They'll contact your customers. Don't even worry about it. Not Allstate, but maybe them, but AAA, these call centers, even your manufacturers, they're going to contact those customers after a while. So again, here's the other thing too. Just because a customer that told you no the first time out, maybe 3-4 days down the road, why don't we do a follow-up call? But we don't. So we let somebody else or another third-party provider call the F&I person and sell them a service contract. So the other thing is too, be it for me to mention here, but generic versus brand, OEM. And we still have dealers out there that use a brand policy, but I'll tell you right now, I've often offered a generic versus the brand, and it's up to the customer to make that decision if the dealer allows it. So anyway, I certainly want to make sure that everyone knows their product knowledge and they know their niche product as well. So if you don't know your products inside and out, that can cost you big too. So let me see. We have Anthony says, "Say hello to my little friend." Hey, good call, Michelle. Definitely good call. Andrew, it's not all the salesperson. Truth be told, many of the F&I are weak or lazy. Many of them expect salespeople to sell their services. I think they should go through regular training like salespeople. Well, Andrew, I couldn't agree with you more. I do think some of these guys are just a little bit lazy too. And I'm not here, and I don't want to go ahead and rely on salespeople to sell my product. And frankly, I don't want them selling my product, to be perfectly honest with you. Michael, we talked about this too. I want salespeople to understand the products. I think that they should understand the products inside and out, but I don't think they need to be selling my products. No, they need to be selling cars. That's what they get paid to do, sell cars. Now, plant the seed. Yes, planting the seed is what they should be doing, but I've never been an advocate for a salesperson trying to sell my product, because if they fail and they're not able to sell the product, I'm going to lose out. And it's going to be difficult for me to go ahead and pick it up after the fact. So my personal preference is that we use it more or less. I just want them to plant the seed. I don't want them selling a product for me. I don't need that. So if I need that, frankly, then I don't belong in F&I. I do believe that that the F&I person needs to be as trained up. Absolutely. That office is today more so than ever before, with all this compliance stuff and everything else, and dealers aren't sending their people to school. What in the world are they thinking? That's just freaking crazy. I mean, seriously. And then these guys, we're trying to rely heavily on the F&I performance today and their profits in that department, and not going to school, not being trained up. They need to be the heavyweights. That's what needs to be happening. Don't get me wrong. I love it when my salespeople help me out and support me, because I support them too. They are the front line of the dealership. Absolutely. I get that. But at the same time, F&I definitely needs to step it up. Anthony, salespeople aren't confident presenting numbers because they're not properly trained how to confidently present the numbers. Also, deals are being created from jump with the pathway of least resistance, and that's an issue as well. Well, you're right. And so here again, I'll go back, not to go flip-flop, but I will say that we could do a much better job in training salespeople in their presentations too. I'm not giving F&I a free ride. I'm not. F&I has their job to do as well, but we also need to do a better job in training presentation, overcoming objection when it comes to that presentation and that first pencil, as well as what's going on in the F&I office. So, Adam, managers aren't managing, and it starts from the top down. Absolutely. Absolutely, Michelle. Hello, Becky. Hey, Melissa just got on. Hey, Melissa, good to see you. Wow, what a night it's been. I have been on a roll. Anthony will tell you I have been on a roll, and I am talking about tracks, word tracks. Should we be using word tracks in the F&I office? And I'd love to get your take on that. John Fairchild, yeah, interest-free credit cards are the way to go. Get someone on a 12-month no interest payment plan. Yeah, some of the dealers are going to this interest-free credit card as opposed to SPP. But I am telling you guys, you got to call me on this Line 5 program. Those that are really want to step it up, because you can sell not only the service contract, we can sell the tire and wheel product, we can sell, offer any the paint and fabric protection, whatever, no gap. And Line 5 will pick it up and provide the customer with a 60-month term. Or you can do just a service contract alone and do it for 36 months, and the payment's just much more reasonable. So, and the dealer is paid the first month out. So I would look at Line 5 and check it out. But give me, let me know if you have questions on it. I'd be happy to help you out with that. And it's Becky@ChernekConsulting.com. Line 5 is not available in all states. New York, go figure. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, Robert. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in Georgia, but I didn't know that Line 5 wasn't available in New York, but maybe there's a few other states. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure that they're available in most states, but New York, you can't even, I mean, in New York, we're not even selling Gap. So what's that tell you, right? So, or credit life or disability. Not that we're selling credit life and disability a lot, but we never did in New York, and nor did we have Gap, but nobody makes profit from selling Gap. Would that be fair to say, Robert? Then we have forevercar.com offers something similar. I've actually worked with them, and they have pretty amazing programs for dealers. So check them out. And they are available everywhere but Missouri, go figure. I actually started the dealer-based program and sat on the board as an SME. I'm not exactly sure what that is when they rolled it out. John Fairchild, do they do customer credit? Do they do consumer credit, Michelle? So basically, this line 5 is more of has bank source to it. That's what's interesting about it. 100% approved, and they can get hassle-free quotes for up to 50 plans. I think that's worthwhile checking it out. That's really good. Michelle, all their plans cover tear down, labor, and rental car as well. Same day payments to service center. Customers can take the car to any mechanic. I guess I'm confused. Are we talking about a service contract that also is something? Is that also a company that they can also obtain financing through? Is that what it is? I'm sorry, I'm just confused on that one, Michelle. You have to sell the value to each client based on their needs. Rebecca is giving great advice and valuable information. That's why I love you so much, Melissa. Thank you. Can't wait to see you too. Cannot wait to see you until we get to NADA. I'm looking forward to a great dinner out. Now, if you have any further questions, I'll put you in touch with the higher ups. Good for you, Michelle. John Fairchild, I'll check it out and let you know. Definitely let me know too, John, when you check it out. I'd love to find out more about this stuff. Follow up, handle that for 3 years from, 3 years from the sale. Got to put my glasses on again, Michelle. From the sale date, all inclusive. Okay, perfect. Every dealer needs a post-sale follow-up expert, period, whether they hire me or not. Okay, awesome. So we're going to sell our services too here. Perfect, Michelle. Good job. And then you're losing money on it. Okay. So please let me know some more information on line 5 and your next workshop. Count me in. I sure absolutely will. Yeah, so anyway, let's find out more about some of these other providers. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about, or just kind of, again, there's a lot of resources that we have available. We need to utilize them. We need to think outside the box. We need to we need to think about utilizing some of these other tools to be able to sell additional service contracts and that sort of thing. But one thing I don't want you to be shy about, I want you to be more confident in your skin to be able to effectively address, overcome the objection, isolate the objection, and overcome the objection based out on a reason, something that the customer has a better understanding. Use visuals, lots of visuals, makes for a great impact. But again, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here. Melissa, thank you for being here. Adam, Michelle, Mike Thompson, definitely Michael and Vincent, thank you so much for being here with me tonight. John Fairchild, it's awesome to have you guys. And Robert, Anthony Santangelo, thank you for being here with me tonight. It's certainly a pleasure. And again, keeping in mind, check my my F&I online platform out at Chernek Consulting Virtual Pro, and that's 24/7. It is one of the best in the industry. I think it's one of the best in the industry for sure. And also, there are individual and automotive groups available, plans available. And then my workshops, regional workshops, my next one likely in March here in Atlanta, Alpharetta, Georgia, at the Hilton DoubleTree. And then also I do in-dealership training, customized in-dealership training. So I go right to the dealership. So I'll be on the road next week. And then the following week, guess where I'm going to be? Now I'm taking pictures of this one. I'm going to be, I believe it's North Dakota. So Becky in North Dakota. So I've got my coat, I got my boots, and I'm going. And boy, we're going to have a blast. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Georgia is going to North Dakota. So anyway, guys, I thank you so much for being on here tonight. And I wish you a very happy New Year. And again, guys, thanks for being on tonight. I really appreciate it. Thanks.